Good morning, Knicks Nation. I hope everybody's well today. I hope everybody's healthy. I hope everybody is COVID free, you and your family, and that you're being taken care of or you're being able to handle business in this really crazy year that we're in 2020. Today, Knicks Nation, I wanted to discuss Malachi Flynn. In my own draft boards, and this is the thing. I want to just touch base on this. Someone asked me, a couple people actually have mentioned, how come I don't have a mock draft? How come I don't have a mock draft? Well, I'll tell you why I don't have a mock draft. I like looking at mock drafts, but I don't have my own because I don't like to try to guess what I think other teams are going to do. I don't like it when people look at the Knicks and try to guess what they're going to do, and they're not Knicks fans and they don't look closely at the Knicks. They're maybe living in some other part of the country and they're just looking at the Knicks from NBA 2K or from, whatever, but they don't really know what the Knicks want. And the standard talking point for the Knicks is, they need a point guard. They need a point guard. And they're not really looking at the Knicks as somebody like some of us as Knicks Nation look at the Knicks as fans. And I'm not saying some of us don't believe the Knicks need a point guard. I have, as you know, I don't believe that, but, not this year anyway, but, I just don't like people it's almost like people outside your family trying to tell you about your family. That's how I feel about it. So, I don't like to look at other teams and try to decide, what their needs are because I don't really watch a whole bunch of other teams. There's a couple of teams I like to watch, in the NBA aside from the Knicks, couple of teams, not a lot of teams. And I wouldn't even try to, ascertain what they need. But as a Knicks fan, I watch the Knicks. I don't watch the only games I miss is the Friday night Knicks. And then I'll go ahead on Saturday night and watch the replay. But pretty much I watch every Knicks game. And so, and I've been doing that for a very, very long time, many decades. So, I can talk about the Knicks as far as I know, for what I believe, whatever, and, my own basketball knowledge. So that's why I don't have mock drafts because I don't care what other teams are doing. I only care about what the Knicks are doing. So today I'm looking at Malachi Flynn. And the reason I'm looking at Malachi Flynn is because, with the 8th pick in the NBA draft this year, I am really hoping the Knicks take Devin Vassell. I'm totally sold on Devin Vassell. To me, actually, you're going to think I'm crazy, but, there's not many picks that is going to be picked before him that I think are higher than him. I just don't. I mean, I'm very high on Yeka, but the Knicks, that's not a fit for them, but I'm just talking about as a basketball player, as a prospect. I'm very high on him. Anthony Edwards is a physical freak and, talented, but he's extremely raw and he's going to need a lot of work. Of course, I'm not very high on LaMelo Ball. I'm not very high on Halliburton. I'm not very high on Denny. I mean, I'm not saying that these guys are going to stink, but I'm just saying I like Vassell better than all of them. Okay. And so I'm glad he's going to be there, hopefully at 8, because I want them to choose him at 8. So to me, he represents a safe pick. He represents a high floor as well as a high ceiling to me. So now we're talking about 27, right? What we're going to do at 27. Now we talked about, and I've done videos on the Knicks' possibilities to add shooters to the team, to stretch the floor, to open up the lane for our boy RJ. Okay. So we talked about shooters we can get in free agency. And now this is not a free agency class that's filled with superstars. Okay. But again, I want to reiterate the Knicks are not in the market for superstars on a realistic basis. Technically, all 30 teams are in the market for a superstar, but realistically, we talked about why superstars would not want to come to New York right now and why we really shouldn't be focusing on them right now. We should be focused on building our team and making it a solid team that would attract a superstar. Okay. So we talked about the class of shooters that are available. And that's what I'm saying. They're not superstars, but some really sharp shooting cats are out here on the market. We talked about Joe Harris and Bogdan Bogdanovic and Gallinari and Bertans. There's a lot of really good shooters out there. Malik Beasley. There's a lot of good shooters out there. And I feel like, because I really want Kevin Knox to have the opportunity to develop, I'm not, one of these people that after 2 seasons are ready to give up on a kid that we drafted at age 19. But, so I want him to get a lot of minutes at the 4. And if we get a 4, like I said, if we drafted an Obi Toppin, okay, he had to split minutes with Obi Toppin. Or, if we get a Christian Wood, but I'm not really pushing that. I really want us to get a 2 that's a shooter. So we're talking about Harris, we're talking about Bogdanovich, we're talking about Malik Beasley, and I think economically and fit as far as age, Beasley, is the guy that I would really look at. But I do like as a player, Bogdanovich, I like his game the best all around. But those are the type of guys we're looking at. But aside from the free agent market, we also want to seek if we can obtain shooters or a shooter in the draft. Now, shooting in the draft is tricky. It's always been that way. Very tricky. Like, okay, so you get a guy like a Stephen Curry, right? So at Davidson, this cat was lighting it up. At Davidson, he was lighting it up in high school. And you just knew he was, and from the range he was shooting from consistently, you knew he could shoot the ball. The Knicks actually won, as most of us know, the Knicks were going to pick him, but of course Golden State was before us and they took him. And then there, and you had, so some players you just know, or Trae Young, you knew he was going to be able to shoot the ball in the NBA just by the distance he was shooting at in college. Okay. But other than those type of exceptions, and that's what they are, exceptions, it's very difficult to determine if a guy is going to be able to shoot in the NBA that can shoot in college. And the reason why, and I stated this before, and a lot of people, I don't know why some of you guys just don't understand this, but this is very plain. Like, the speed of the NBA game is much different than the speed of the college game. Okay? So you have to take into consideration the player's competition. For example, there's a guy that's playing in a junior college, and he's considered a high prospect. But he's playing in junior college. He's not playing against North Carolina or Duke or Villanova. He's playing like one step up from high school. So you got to take that into consideration when you're seeing all of these highlights of them dunking and shooting the ball and all of that. Because like in the NBA, you're going to get less time to set your feet and shoot. And it makes all the difference in the world. As I said, I like to bring up Jimmer Fredette because he's a classic example. And he's not the only one, but he's a classic example of a guy in the China League or an NCAA can shoot the rock, but cannot get it off in the NBA in the same way because he's getting less time. If that split second difference in athleticism that causes you to have to rush your shot a little bit makes a huge difference. Okay. Plus the energy that you have to expend in the NBA to play defense. It's more energy involved. The games are longer. There's more games. And so you got to take that into consideration when you're talking about a guy's shooting ability. If you've ever played basketball, you don't shoot the ball as well generally when you're dead tired as you do when you're fresh. Okay. And then of course, aside from the energy expenditure, if a guy's up on you all the time and you can't get your shot off as cleanly as you like and you don't want to force a shot, it's going to cause you not to shoot as well. Okay. That happens to a lot of people, that come into the NBA from college with shooting reputations. A lot of people. Okay. So you got to be careful when you're looking at shooters. All right. So I'm thinking, and I brought all that up to say, I would like us to try to pick a shooter at 27. I'd like us to try to pick a shooter at 27. And I'm really looking at Malachi Flynn. And I'm looking at Tankathon. Now, Tankathon ranked all the players in a mock draft. And, their ranking is, I'm just using it as a typical ranking. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but this is typical of what people that do these things rank and the reasons they rank them. So, like, for example, I compared 3 players, Malachi Flynn, Terrell Terry, and Kyra Lewis Jr. I compared these 3 players. Now, in this particular mock, Tankathon has Terrell Terry going at 21 to Philadelphia. They have Kyra Lewis going at 22 to Denver. And they have Malachi Flynn going at 48 to Golden State. Okay. they're all about the same size. Kara Lewis is listed at 6'3", 165. Terrell Terry is listed at 6'1", 160. Malachi Flynn is listed at 6'1", 185. Now, let me start off by saying, I'm already telling you I'm favoring Malachi Flynn. Okay, I'm already telling you that. But let me start off by saying, beware of players who all of a sudden can do something or has something that they didn't have in college, and between college season ending and the draft, they get it. Like, for example, I'm hearing that Terrell Terry's grown 2 inches and now he's 6'3", and he's put on, and Kyra Lewis has put on 20 pounds and now he's 185. Beware of sudden changes. Think of it like this. Please, think of it like this. I always, and I don't know why, because maybe I like cars, right? I'm looking for a car. So I'm on the lot looking for a car, and the dealer's got the car that I like, the type of car I like, is shined up, wheels, it's totally detailed, buffed out. It looks really nice. All of the, and I'm trying to choose between 3 of them, and all of them look really nice, right? But what's under the hood? So you got to look under the hood, right? So what you're doing when you're looking at a car is you want to look at you want to find the flaws. Have you ever, let me get the engine history. Let me get the report on the history of the car. Okay. Let me get the Kelley Blue Book value of the car. Okay. Let me see. Has it been in any accidents? All right. You want to know all of that. You want to know all the details. You want to look up the car's reliability record. You want to go on consumer, I do all this. You want to go on Consumer Reports. What is his reliability record compared to other cars in the same class? How efficient is the car? Can the car last? Okay. So you look at all of these things and you got to look critically, because you're getting ready to make an investment in a car and you don't want a lemon. And believe me, I bought some lemons. So it could cost you, man. So it's much bigger when you're talking about drafting for the NBA. And so you have to be very critical. You want to look at the negatives of the player and then find out if those negatives will outweigh whatever positives they're bringing to the table when they're going to play for your team. Okay. Too many people look at highlights and get hyped, and all of a sudden they're all in on somebody, all hyped. Like you just saw the girl of your dreams because of how she looked in that dress, but you really don't want to be with her when you get to know her. And that happens a lot, especially in Knicks land. It happens a lot. So I'm looking at these 3 players, and I'm looking at their stats, and I'm looking at the statistics and the measurements and so forth. And so, first of all, I would rank Kyra Lewis ahead of Terrell Terry, and they got Kyra Lewis going behind Terrell Terry, and whatever, but I would rank him higher. And I'm not buying into the 20-pound weight gain for him or the 2-inch growth spurt for Terry. It doesn't really matter in terms of they're playing point guard. 6'1", 6'3", okay, whatever. Okay. And Kyra Lewis, his speed and his athletic ability, obviously we saw him do that at 165, and that's the weight he should play at. If he's going to grow into a man's body, it's going to happen naturally. It's like a lot of people with Kevin Knox. You're looking at Kevin Knox and you're saying he got to get stronger, blah, blah, blah. The kid will get stronger when he gets stronger. He's 19, 20, 21 now. He's going to grow. He's going to fill in. I'm 60, almost 60 years old. So you know what? When I was 19, 20, I wanted to be the Hulk. I'm taking protein. And you know what now? If I could just lose 20 pounds, I'll be very happy. You know why? Because that's what happens. You start naturally putting on weight. Happens to everybody. Okay. So you don't need to rush a kid to do what his body's going to do naturally, especially if you see him working out consistently. So 160 for Tyrell Terry, 165 for Kyra Lewis, 185 for Malachi Flynn. To me, that's their weight. That's what they play the best at right now. That's where they are. You asking Kyra Lewis to put on 20 pounds, he might hurt himself. He might hurt a knee, gaining weight like that very quickly. That's what happens sometimes. The guy gains weight too quickly and his body's not used to that weight, and all of a sudden it hurts his knee, especially in the NBA. Okay. So you gotta be careful of these things. And then if a guy grew, let's say Terry did grow from 6'1" to 6'3", that also hurts your bones. You can't grow that quickly without having some pain in your bones, man. It's not when you're 12 and 13. Okay. It happens like that. Got to take all of that into consideration. So now their age. Terrell Terry and Kyra Lewis are 19. And Malachi Flynn is almost 23. He's 22, but he's going to be 23 by the time of the draft. So he's much older. And that's a negative to them. That's a negative. To me, in my second pick in the first round or in the second round, that's not a negative. Because I'm not looking for my guy that I'm picking at 27 to be a starter. Okay? I'm not looking for, especially on the Knicks. I'm looking for a shooter. Somebody that can shoot the rock. All right? And be disruptive off the bench. When I say disruptive, I mean, like when the Clippers play, and they got their boy, you got PG-13 and you got Kawhi, and you're like, whoa, man, that they're good, right? They're really good. But then off the bench, you got the multiple times 6 man of the year coming off the bench. And why was he multiple times 6 man of the year? Because when he comes off the bench, this guy's going to bring it. He's going to bring it. And not only that, he's going to affect the game positively for the Clippers, right? He's going to affect the game positively for the Clippers. So that you want a guy that's disruptive like that can cause you to win a game from the bench. And can shoot the rock. Now, obviously I'm looking up his name now. So I'm talking about, not Pat Beverly, what's the cat's name? Lou Williams. Oh yeah, Lou Williams. 6'1", 175, Lou Williams. Come out straight out of high school. So you're looking at a guy like a Lou Williams as kind of like the gold standard, or Jamal Crawford as a gold standard. These guys can come off and win you a game from the bench. So that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at a shooter at 27. So now, and also, even though I'm looking for a guy that can shoot, you also want a guy that gets everybody involved. Because if he comes off the bench and he's the only guy that can score, right? Of course, the opposing team's going to key on him, and he's not going to get his easy shots off. But if he's a threat to pass or shoot, and the time he gets off and he can set up stuff too, you want that as well. So I'm looking at, for example, points per game. So Malachi Flynn averaged 19, Kyra averaged 18, Terrell averaged 16. And all of them averaged 5 rebounds a game. Here's the problem. The first glaring thing I see here is, and this is what Malachi is averaging 6 assists a game, Kyra Lewis averaging 5, and Terrell Terry only averaging 3.5 or 4. For a point guard that has the ball in their hands all the time, I'm expecting more than 4 assists a game. Okay, I'm expecting more than that. Then steals, Malachi is averaging 2, Kyra's averaging 2, Tyra Terry's like 1.5, which let's give him 2. But it looks to me that the other 2 guys are more involved on defense, and not only that, they get their teammates more involved. The really thing that stuck out me is the turnovers, though. So while Malachi Flynn is averaging 6 assists a game, he's only getting 2 turnovers a game. Kyra Lewis is averaging 5 assists a game, and he's getting 2 turnovers a game. No, I'm sorry, he's getting 3.4 turnovers a game. That's a lot of turnovers. And then Terrell Terry is averaging 3.5 assists a game, and he's throwing the ball over 3 times a game. To me, that not only, you're not setting up your offense right, you careless with the basketball. I'm sorry, you careless with the ball. Okay. So now maybe we can expect that from guys that are 19 going 20. Okay. So you want to develop him so maybe he doesn't turn the ball over too much. Okay. But at 27, I'd like a guy that just knows how to handle the basketball and can shoot. Malachi Flynn. Okay. All right. So he's 22, going to be 23. Fine. I have no problem with that. Because like I said, I'm not expecting him to be a Hall of Famer. I just want him to come off the bench and score. Okay. 3-point percentage. Now, Malachi shoot 37%. Kyra Lewis shoot 37%. Terry shoot 41. Okay, shoot 41% from the 3-point line. They have a projection for the NBA. They're expecting Terry to be able to shoot 38 and Malachi Flynn to be able to shoot 38 and Kyra to shoot about 36. Okay. I'm looking at Terry as a guy. He takes 12 shots a game. He takes 5 threes a game. Malachi takes 14 shots a game, takes about 7 threes a game. And he hits, a pretty high percentage of them. Free throws, they're all good free throw shooters. Malachi's 86, Terry's 89. and Kyra is 80. They're all good free throw shooters. But from what I'm looking at, these statistically wise, and what I saw in the videos that I watched of these guys, Malachi gets his teammates more involved than Terry. Kyra Lewis gets his teammates. And what surprised me about Kyra Lewis that I liked is that Kyra Lewis plays 38 minutes a game in a 40-minute game. He's on the floor a lot. Okay. 38 minutes a game. And that's pretty good. That's pretty workhorsey, type of thing. But again, they play 33 games in college, 33 games. NBA is obviously 82 games. And so, it's a lot more work on your body. So I'm just concerned about Kyra being able to be healthy, on a full NBA schedule. Now, most of these players in the NBA today don't play 80 games. Most of them play around 75 games, 72, 75 games. But you would like him to play that and not be hurt. And that's one of the risks with small point guards or small guards in general, is the risk of injury. Because their bodies are just, it's a grind and it's physical. Even in today's, touch foul era, it's still pretty physical. You can still, and you got to play 82 games or play it in a long season, 70 games, 75 games. A lot of small guys have gotten hurt, early in their careers. And so that's one of the risks you want to look at also, which, I like Malachi Flynn. It seems like he's a natural 185, very solid, gets his teammates involved. He's a little older, so maybe he's filled into his man's body a little bit more, obviously, but, his usage rate is also higher, than the other two guys. So I like him at 27 for the Knicks. I like him at 27. I think he'll be there. If they got him going at 48 to Golden State, he may even be there at 38. But I'd like to nab him at 27. Or the other guy I like at 27 is Desmond Baine. I like Desmond Baine actually better because he's 6'5", 215. And last night I was watching the podcast for Knicks Fan TV, and Wasserman mentioned that what Bain is doing in his interviews is comparing himself to Joe Harris. And actually, when you look at Bain's tapes, I like that comparison. That's a very good comparison. It's not an exaggerated comparison between Desmond Bain and Joe Harris. And so I like Desmond Bain at 27, and I like Malachi Flynn at 27. Now, I don't think I would get both of them. Like, if one of them I got at 27, I wouldn't try to get the other one at 38 unless I got another pick. At 38, I'd like to look at someone that we could develop. Someone that's not going to cost us a lot, but we could look into him as far as the development. And I like Paul Reed from DePaul at that spot because, and I like Robert Woodard as well. I like Robert Woodard. I like Paul Reed. Some people ask me about Jaden McDaniels. What I don't like about Jaden McDaniels is he reminds me a lot in his situation of Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett, former number 1 overall pick, big bust. And why does he remind me of that? Anthony Bennett was a bust, not because he didn't have talent. Tremendous talent. He didn't have a work ethic. He didn't have the heart to push to become the best that he can. Jaden McDaniels has a tremendous amount of talent. I don't see him pushing himself to become better, to build off the natural talent that he has. In his basketball life, he's one of these guys that's been able to, get by on his natural ability because he has tremendous natural ability. He's 6'10", wingspan big and all that. But if you're not willing to put the effort in and you're not even in the pros yet, it's going to be hard for you to do that. So I'm not high on him because of that. Cassius Stanley is athletic. He's athletic. I need more game than that. I need more than just athletic. You got to bring something to the table. I want to see something. I want to see you make your teammates better. I want to see you, lock down some. I got to see something else aside from you can jump. Okay. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Cassius Stanley's going to stink. And I know the Knicks are watching him. And if they took him, I wouldn't complain. But I'm not. And then there's Daniel Oturu, of Minnesota. I like Oturu. I think he's, a second rounder. I think that would be good. I like Paul Reed the best because, and they have him in Tankathon listed at 42 to New Orleans. 6'9", 220, 17 and 12, 3 blocks. And he hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can do. And I think he's 21. He's going to work hard to get better. I think that guy is one of those second rounders that can turn out to be really, really good. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. I'm looking for a guy in the second round that's a surprise, that somebody's sleeping on. And that all of a sudden becomes that star that nobody was expecting. And as far as that, I like Paul Reed. I like Daniel Oturu, but I rank Paul Reed a little higher. Oturu is a center. Reed is 6'9". He could play a couple of positions along the front line between 3, 4, and 5. He could probably play at least 2 of those. He's a 4, but he could probably play a 5 if he needs to. And I like Robert Woodard as well out of Mississippi State. But at 27, if we're going to go guard, I like Malachi Flynn at 27. Or Desmond Baine. Either one of those shooters. Okay. So we can pick up a good shooter late first or in our second round pick. And those are the 2 guys I like. I'm more leery of some of the other guys. Jemias Ramsey, I'm a little leery of him. He might be good, but I don't know. Just something about him. I'm not sure. See, in the era in which we play, there's a lot of emphasis placed on AAU guys in the United States. And AAU guys are generally looked upon highly when they're very athletic. And that's no problem. But the problem is that there's a lack of a focus on fundamentals. That's the problem. There's a lack of a focus on fundamentals. What the AAU guys do, they'll copy a guy like a James Harden. They'll be able to do a step back, and everybody will look at that and say, "Oh, he's got the James Harden step back." That's cute. But you know what? Can he box out? Can he run the floor? Does he know his defensive position? Does he have an IQ? Does he understand the ball needs to move? These things I'm looking at. Does he get his teammates involved? Okay. But we're looking at the dunks and, the pro-like moves, and that's all good. That shows athletic ability. I'm not saying that you don't need that, but I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the other stuff. I want to see fundamentals. I want to see, if you know the game, if you know how to play the game the right way, or if you can be taught to play the game the right way, because that's going to be, to me, those are going to be your better players at the end. Not everybody's LeBron. Not everybody's LeBron. Not everybody's Giannis. Not everybody's these players. Okay. But you look at a guy like Kawhi Leonard. Yes, he's gifted, obviously, but fundamentally, the guy's amazing. He's amazing. I mean, really, in every facet of the game, passing, shooting, defense, he's fundamentally together on every possession. His feet are always in the right place. That kind of thing, I'd like to see from players. So second round, like I said, in the order I like them in is I like Paul Reed, I like Daniel Oturu, and I like Robert Woodard in the second round. If they were to take 2 shooters, obviously I just mentioned Desmond Baine and Malachi Flynn, the 2 shooters I would go at. If you use those last 2 picks and get 2 shooters, okay, I'm not going to cry about that. But as a matter of fact, honestly, I'm not going to cry about whoever the Knicks pick. Because they're the Knicks, right? So I want Vassell at 8, but if they turn around and pick, whoever at 8, I'm not going to whine. I mean, I'm not going to trash them. I'm going to support whoever they pick because they're the Knicks. And I'm going to try to put the best spin on it because I'm a Knicks fan. But I'd like to see them get shooters later on. And there's a couple of shooters available here that I think we can get. Like I think of Desmond Baine. They got him going in this draft, in mock draft, they got him going 28 to the Lakers. And we're picking 27. They got us taking Trey Jones. And I can understand Trey Jones, solid pick, safe pick. But we're going safe at 8. And I think Desmond Baine is safe. And he's adding what we need in terms of a shooter on the wing. So, yeah, if that's the order, if he ends up being available, if Desmond Baine is on the board at 27, I would take him. Now, they got Tyler Bay going at 26. Problem I have with Tyler Bay is at 6'7". You're going to have to, you're really going to have to trust that he can play defense against bigger guys. You're really going to have to trust that because he's 6'7". He's 23 years old. He's at his ceiling right now. Okay. He's athletic, fundamentally sound, really is. But you really going to have to trust because he's not a 2. I don't think Tyler Bay can play the 2 or the 3. I think he's a 4, but he's an undersized 4. So yeah, you got to really trust that that's going to translate. And like I said, I like to be more negative than positive, and I'm not going to trust that. I like Desmond Baine, 6'5", shoots the rock. He could really shoot the rock. He got 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals in 17 a game, gets his teammates involved, smart guy, good ball player, solid shooter. I think he can get his shot off in the NBA. I think that'll, he's be able to do that. Then Malachi Flynn, the same. I like both of those guys. So just to wrap it up, Desmond Baine is really my number 1 pick at 27, followed by Malachi Flynn. And then, at 38, I like, if Malachi Flynn is there, take him there. And I like Paul Reed as well. Tell me what you guys think. Shalom.